as you hear the feedback.
Yeah, well, there are
Coming up, nearly 50,000 United Auto Workers are on strike across the U.S. About 7,000 union workers at 4 plants in Indiana. Look at the impact it could have on the Hoosier State. Plus, Indianapolis-based Powdercake honoring Indiana tech companies for workplace culture. Tech Networking Platform has handed out its Breakout Tech Culture Awards. Socio walked away as the top overall winner. We'll learn about what the awards mean for Indiana's growing tech sector. And he went from slapping hockey pucks to packing fish and seafood on ice, carrying on the family fishing business with several restaurants. FK Restaurant Group CEO Fred Knipscher is here with more on his latest venture, Pier 48,
and as it turns
just
out,
opened in downtown Indianapolis.
Manufacturing worker
Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana.
Bachelor's degree.
Yeah, downtown, nearly 50,000 United Auto Workers are on strike across the U.S. About 7,000 is here now with a look at how this one-of-a-kind park and look at the impact it could have on the Hoosier State. Make the Summit City plus Indianapolis-based Powdercake, plus Indiana has the highest concentration of manufacturing jobs in the country, but the industry's perception, Breakout Tech Culture Awards, Socio walked away as the top CEO Mark Howell will learn about what the awards changing the perception, growing, putting more students on the path to advanced manufacturing, slapping hockey pucks to packing fish and seafood designs, reusing, recycling, and business of several restaurant materials. FK Restaurant Group CEO Fred Knipscher is here with more on his latest sustainability effort, getting just opened in downtown Indianapolis. We will have details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indianapolis.
Stand by talk show with Weezy Full. Sponsored open with Weezy. Stand by camera reading here for out 5, 4, 3, dissolve carry.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Well, General Motors is a city on strike at tens of millions of dollars in investment, transforming the city's downtown with a mix of office, retail, residential development, and much more. In Indiana. We're continuing on a $32 million landing project. The biggest truck assembly plant in Fort Wayne has about 4,500 workers. There's also the Marion Stamping Plant and Bedford casting operation, play development. About 900. Most recently, the opening of the $20 million Promenade Park is the first step in creating workers there. Fort Wayne. GM and the United Auto Workers Union continue negotiations making the Summit City a destination. I'm pleased to welcome back to the show to talk about it and a lot more Mayor Tom Henry, who has been really at the forefront of a lot of projects that continue to go on. And Mayor is always welcome to the program. Thank you. Okay, first of all, a lot to get to, so let's get right to it. We haven't really communities all over the country are beginning to embrace the water. This is a great example. $20 million, the first of 3 phases that will really transform the riverfront.
You're absolutely right, Gary. We realized some time ago with 3 rivers converging in their downtown and for years trying to push that water back, we were not really recognizing that it had potential to be an asset rather than a liability. So several years ago, we tried to make that transformation, if you will, from waterways that we didn't want to something that we could embrace. And so we put together a plan, and about 2 years ago,
membership or control the bleeding at this point.
So the UAW, they want members, right? They want membership. What's the GM after? Some work rules, flexibility, those
right. So GM really wants to maintain membership for their current members and expand it to those second-tier workers that are now getting less benefits and fewer wages. And then GM really needs, more than anything else, is flexibility down the road. They face an uncertain future. Their cars aren't selling well. Their trucks are selling well. They're looking at the EV or hybrid market. And so that's going to take different plant and equipment and a very different workforce in many places. So they need that flexibility over the next decade or so.
As you look at the potential impact here in Indiana, the strike's only a few days old here, but is the impact that could happen here different than it would have been, say, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago when union membership was much higher?
Right. Well, we look back to the last strike with 2007, that was 48 hours. The strike before that was 21 days. So we're now into a big strike. Yeah, certainly much bigger employment. We had about 250,000 more manufacturing workers back in the late 90s. A good many of them were UAW workers. We're down to really 4 plants being struck. The big effect will be in in Fort Wayne, but it'll be felt more in Kokomo and Bedford and Marion because they're smaller communities.
Let's talk about Fort Wayne, the only GM final assembly plant, truck assembly plant there. And GM has looked at that plant really in a positive light, investing a lot of money there.
Right, so in the wake of the Daniels reform to our tax system and the Great Recession, GM looked around and said, wow, Indiana's a great place to do business. Put about $80 billion, if memory serves right, in that plant, which I think is a good signal that that facility is going to be safe for a long time. I think the other places are more nimble, pretty high productivity, so I think they're reasonably safe. The danger for the UAW is membership in the older plants in Ohio and Michigan.
Okay, as we wrap up here, as you look into the crystal ball, how do you see this going? I mean, there's no way to really tell, obviously, but in terms of if this is going to be a prolonged strike, or do you think both sides have some incentive maybe to come to an agreement?
So the UAW members want to come to agreement.
Yeah.
The UAW can't give a lot on its membership goals. I think by GM pulling the health benefits at the start of the next month, 1st of October, I think that signals this is going to be a longer strike. They wouldn't have risked that amount of ill will if they thought this was going to be over tomorrow or next week.
All right, it's a big story in the manufacturing sector in Indiana. The General Motors strike continues. Mike Hicks from Ball State University, as always, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, also this week in Northeast Indiana, Fort Wayne Mayor Tom Henry has created a council to give residents 50 years of age and older a proactive role in that city. The mayor's age-friendly community advisory council will focus on issues like local resources, promoting policies and improving quality of life, as well as personal independence. The council, part of the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities. Fort Wayne, the third city in Indiana to join that network. Coming up next, Indianapolis-based Powder Keg honoring the best of the best among Indiana tech companies when it comes to workplace culture. Starting this week, we're profiling some of the winners. First up, Socio. We'll explain how its high-tech platform is changing the way businesses manage everything from meetings to trade shows. It's time now to go inside innovation. Well, Socio, a venture-backed SaaS company that helps organizations optimize their events, continues to grow and now has more than 500 customers, including big names like Google, Microsoft, and Pinterest. It's that growth and the company's culture, which they see as a competitive advantage, helping them to recruit top talent. That's why Indianapolis-based tech networking platform Powder Keg named Socio the top-rated overall culture winner at the inaugural Indiana Breakout Tech Culture Awards this week. Please do welcome to the show Powder Keg CEO Matt Hunkler and Socio founder Yarkin Sakacholo. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us, Gary.
Matt, I'm going to start with you. The whole idea for these Breakout Tech Culture Awards, what's it all about? I know culture is the main reason people go to work at tech companies, also the main reason they leave a tech company, right?
That's exactly right. When we did the tech census last year, that's what we found is that is the thing that people care the most about when they're looking at what company to join and spend literally more than half their waking hours going to work. It's also the number one pain point for these scaling tech companies. There's an 85% surge in tech jobs in just the last year, but there has not been an 85% surge in tech talent just yet. So really, culture is the biggest competitive advantage for those companies looking to attract that talent.
Talk about the program this year. Pleased and honored to be a part of the event this week here in Indianapolis. Incredible participation.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was a packed house, of course, because you were there. We had the star power, but we had 267 companies nominated across the state. The award-winning companies, there were over 40 of them there last night accepting awards. Each company received badges that told which awards they are, which are displayed on their culture profile on powderkeg.com. But then we also had 12 category winners, including categories like career path, product team culture. But then we also had an overall culture award for the biggest average score across all of these various companies.
And that goes to Socio, right? And Yarkin, congratulations on that. Give us the thumbnail, the kind of the business model for the company. Found a great story. Founded at Purdue while you were a student at Purdue, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My co-founders and I were students at Purdue. We actually attended a lot of events, and I personally was involved with planning an event as well. And I realized that events are very powerful when they're done right, but it's very difficult to get them right. And our software helps companies do that.
How? Give us kind of a layman's terms and how the software, how it works.
Absolutely. So when you're planning an event, there are a lot of softwares that you use before the event, during the event, and after the event. Our software focuses on inside the event. We have 3 products. Our event apps, which allows any organization to build an app in a few hours to become the hub of their events, basically. We have a Leaderchival product that allows exhibitors and sponsors to monetize their events, monetize these events and get return on their investment. And finally, we have a live display product that allows event organizers to inform and engage their attendees using big screens in events.
Well, you've got some really high-profile companies, Microsoft, Google, Hyundai, a number of companies, and you're also scaling up in terms of employment. Already have 50 employees in downtown Indianapolis, looking to hire more.
Yes,
Talk about who you're looking for.
Absolutely. We are hiring, I believe, for 22 positions right now. We have recently passed 50 employees, and I mean, we are looking for passionate people who are looking to move fast and make something bigger than, be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and Matt, great example of the tech ecosystem that really is percolating here. As you look at what's next for this event, you see scaling this event even beyond Indianapolis, right?
Absolutely. We really did this tech census nationwide last year in more than half dozen cities. And it's the same thing you see in Nashville, Denver, Raleigh-Durham. So we'll be doing the Breakout Tech Culture Awards in other communities, which will be amazing for growing the overall awareness of tech in these hubs like Indianapolis and across the state.
All right, the Breakout Tech Culture Awards, first year one, a great success. Matt Hunkler and also Yarkin Sococholo. Thank you very much for joining us. Congrats, too. We'll be following the company.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well, here's what's on tap now in tech news, served up by Sun King, an Indianapolis-based company specializing in the use of human voice for its artificial intelligence platform, has raised about $700,000 in seed funding. ConvertSight.ai receives support from Elevate Ventures and 4 other investors through the Angel Roundtable. The company says its personal assistant, Athena, understands natural language and allows the user to quickly get information through conversation. A $2.4 million award from the Indiana Commission for Higher Education will support the STEM Teach initiative from the Independent Colleges of Indiana and UIndy. The program helps high school teachers needing graduate level courses in STEM discipline areas to meet the Commission's requirements for teaching dual credit courses. And a grant from the National Science Foundation funding a new center for researchers from Notre Dame, IU, and Purdue to help them study and improve challenges in science. The university says the Center for Bioanalytic Metrology will partner with companies and leaders from the pharmaceutical, biotech, ag, and energy sectors. And for Tech News 24/7, be sure to check out InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Coming up next, U.S. Veterans Administration Undersecretary Paul Lawrence is here in studio to break down the impact of Indiana's new pension-related law that will put more money in veterans' pockets. It could be the key to recruiting more service members to the state. Here's what's making news now around Indiana. Well, a big economic boost for Bristol in Elkhart County, where metal forming startup Brinko says it will make a big investment, which will bring about 250 new jobs to the region. The company is planning to use the former Chasix facility, which closed in 2017, for a high-tech manufacturing plant. Brinko plans to invest about $52 million in that project. In the northwest Indiana city of Whiting, the old Iliana Hotel will soon be replaced by a new 5-story mixed-use development aimed at attracting new business and residents to the area. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report city leaders had hoped to renovate the property, but tore it down in 2017 due to safety concerns. The new project will retain that Iliana name and brand. And you need to head to southern Indiana to find the best place in Indiana to raise a family. That according to LendingTree.com, which released a study which named the town of Huntingburg as the best place for young families in the state. 6,000 people call the DuBois County community home. Westfield and Hamilton County came in a close second. Well, Indiana has more than 400,000 veterans living in the state. And a top priority of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is to ensure that those veterans receive the benefits and the services they have earned. Technology has helped the Veterans Benefits Administration streamline programs and improve benefit delivery. Joining us now is Undersecretary for Benefits, Paul Lawrence, to explain what is being done to help veterans here and the economic impact as well. And Dr. Lawrence, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
First of all, that number, I mean, I think some people would be surprised. More than 400,000 veterans actually call Indiana home. That's a big number and a big impact on the economy.
That's right. We administer $1.5 billion every year in payments for veterans for their benefits they've earned. These come in sort of three big areas primarily. One is what we call compensation. You've been injured and we pay you money to deal with your impairment. The other is in education, the GI Bill being the most famous, and home loan guarantee. No money down, home we guarantee. And what's interesting about the last two particularly, those come from the original GI Bill, which as you know was drafted right here by Harry Comeri, Legionnaire, resident of Indianapolis. So these are very powerful things that help veterans re-accelerate their entry to earn the American dream, a home, a job, make a living, be part of the community. Powerful economic impact to the state.
And indeed, getting those services, making sure those services and benefits flow seamlessly to the veterans, that's, as you know, a huge job. Technology, a big part of that. Now, talk about that whole effort of being able to get those benefits to veterans in a timely
Sure,
manner.
it's a real service delivery challenge, as you point out, and everyone's getting higher expectations to receive customer service from VA as well. So we deal with it a couple ways. First is we want to make sure we have really cutting-edge technology. So, for example, I know Salesforce is headquartered here. Companies like that we want to draw on to provide things for us. World-class techniques to be efficient, to be lean, to bring all those. And finally, quite frankly, the creativity of our staff. For example, between May and June 30th of this year, we ran what was called the Independence Day Challenge. Complete 9 weeks worth of work in 8 weeks, and we'll give you the Friday after July 4th off so you could have a 4-day weekend. We think we provided benefits to more than 50,000 veterans who otherwise would have waited through their hard work and energy.
Well, as you look at 400,000 plus veterans here, they are an asset to the state from an economic development, workforce standpoint. As we were talking off camera, a number of states, including Indiana, are trying to figure out, hey, how can we recruit veterans to come live here?
Right. They're highly trained, more loyal, more dedicated on average. Right. Veteran unemployment is very low. It's below the national average, and all the top companies, you know, that would be one of the things I would encourage everybody to do. Kick the veteran tire hard because you'll find they're great employees there.
Yeah, and you were just in a roundtable discussion. You know, you met with CEOs, I think, and some others here in Indiana trying to figure out ways to do that.
Right. You know, hiring veterans is, you know, is good for a lot of reasons, but it's important for the bottom line.
You know, the Veterans Administration, you know, had received a lot of negative publicity. But as you look now, what's kind of the, if you will, the new VA? Is there a new vibe, a new attitude around the VA?
Sure. Well, I think you know, as candidate and then later as president now, the president has made veterans the center point of his plan and the administration's. The budget's the largest we've ever had. The secretary talks about it as the period's greatest transformation. So the new resources bring new tools, new laws that enable us to do the sort of things we need to do to help veterans. So by the surveys we're seeing now from other organizations that benchmark us, it's not just us, VA provides world-class services and benefits to our veterans. And so my message to folks would be, understand that. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. If you're a family member of it, thank you for the support. And if you're an employer that has a job opening, hire a veteran. That would be my strongest recommendation.
Dr. Paul Lawrence is Undersecretary for Benefits at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for stopping by on your trip here to Indianapolis. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for caring about veterans. Thank you.
Well, also making news around Indiana this week, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce has named Governor Eric Holcomb the 2019 Birch Bayh Richard Lugar Government Leader of the Year. The Chamber says the governor's next level agenda, specifically a focus on the opioid epidemic, led to that selection. The governor will be presented with the award at the Chamber's annual awards dinner in November. Coming up next, former NHL hockey player Fred Knipscher. He's the driving force behind Indy's newest downtown dining destination, Pier 48. It's a restaurant that delivers fresh seafood from sea to plate thanks to some deep family ties. Fred joins us next with details. There he is in the Inside Indiana Business Social Media Lounge presented by Star Commercial Banking, Indiana born for Indiana business. Well, Fred Knipscher is a retired professional hockey player who turned to the restaurant world after he hung up his skates. He serves fresh seafood caught on his cousin's boats and delivered to Pier 48 in downtown Indianapolis within 24 hours, a brand new restaurant that's opened up here. I'm pleased to welcome FK Restaurant Group CEO Fred Knipscher to the show. Fred, welcome.
Thank you.
I want to get to Pier 48, which just opened, a brand new restaurant offering in downtown Indianapolis, but your story is an interesting one. You grew up out on the East Coast in Boston, spent some time in Fort Wayne, certainly, but talk about your professional hockey career, because you were a hockey player before a restaurateur.
Yeah, my old life as a hockey player, and loved every minute of it. Was lucky enough and fortunate enough to play college hockey on a scholarship, and from there was able to sign a free agent contract with the Boston Bruins, which was, my childhood favorite team. And I always tell people I didn't even dream that big because I never thought that would be possible, but was able to do that, and then played in a few other communities. St. Louis, I was with the Chicago Blackhawks organization. I actually played for the Indiana Ice, or the Indianapolis Ice at the time, when I was with the Hawks minor league team. And loved every minute of it, had a great time, got to travel the world playing a sport that I loved. Yeah, and when you were in Boston, you got to play in front of family and friends, and that family has a rich heritage in the fishing business, right? Yeah, we have a pretty unique story. I've got some extended family, cousins of mine that live in Maine, about 3 hours from Boston, and they own a fishery. It's called Osher's Wharf. It's in South Bristol, Maine, and it's pretty cool. Every day they go out and they bang it out, and they fish, and they catch everything from live lobsters to haddock, cod, tuna, you name it, they catch it. So it's a pretty tough business, but a pretty rewarding business as well. Okay, that's the direct connection to Pier 48, brand new restaurant downtown Indianapolis, right across from Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Talk about the restaurant, and then also how you're going to get seafood actually from your family operation out east, right? Yeah, so our restaurant is, we'd like to say, sea to table, and there's some nice pictures on that you just saw from our boats, but we have actually one boat that's dedicated to us for our fish. It's called the Terra Lynn 2. It goes out anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, and when it's on its way back in from fishing, I'll get a call and they'll say, hey, here are the 4 or 5 species we caught today, what would you like? They come in, they pack it on ice, and we overnight it on FedEx, and we have it at our door the next day. So it was swimming yesterday, and we get it the next day. So, and then with our lobsters, those come from my other cousin's boat called the Rachel Marie. That's his wife's name, and same thing. We call him, let him know what we want, and he packs them up and sends them, and we have them the next day. So. All right, we only have about 30 seconds, but you're bullish on Indianapolis as a restaurant market because you've got Pier 48 downtown. Yeah. You're partnering with Sun King on a property in Broad Ripple, also opening in the yard up in Fishers. Yeah, we've got 3 great projects coming. Sun King kind of came out of nowhere, and about 3 weeks ago got a call, and we ended up teaming up with them, and that's going to be called Offshore by Pier 48. We're going to hire about 200 people in the next year, and we're super excited. And then our next spot we're looking at is Fort Wayne, Indiana. So we're excited to grow. Lots going on in Fort Wayne. Fred Knipscher is CEO at FK Restaurant Group, Pier 48. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. All right. Appreciate it. Well, coming up, we meet the IU entrepreneur who started CoCheck, a CoCheck business in his basement in Broad Ripple, made it to Shark Tank, and now runs a multi-million-dollar global business, revolutionizing the way we check our coats and also book rentals. We'll talk about that in the Insiders with Dr. K. Stay with us.
Stand by D1 Sound, sponsored open with music. Stand by camera 3 with Gary. We're out in 5, 4, 3 seconds. 2, dissolve, cue Gary.
Well, the entrepreneur behind startup Checksology has seen his business grow from humble beginnings in a Broad Ripple basement to an appearance on Shark Tank. to where it is today, a multi-million-dollar global company. He's the subject of this month's Innovators with Dr. K. Dr. K, take it away.
Well, thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. I'm very proud to have an IU entrepreneurship graduate here that we can feature and bring him back to get his updates. So we have Derek Paquet. He's the CEO and founder of Chexology. And they were the builders, as Gary mentioned, of CoChex, as seen on Shark Tank. So welcome to the Innovators.
Well, thanks for having me, Dr. K and Gary.
Great to have you. So, kind of review for our audience the original idea when we say CoChex and it was on Shark Tank. What was that original idea?
Yeah, so when I was an undergrad in the Kelly School in your spine and sweat course, I started the Hoosier CoCheck, which was a pop-up coat check business. And very quickly, we realized the process for checking coats was very antiquated. You give someone a paper claim ticket, they easily lose it. It doesn't really claim what you checked in. So the idea was we built an app where it takes a picture of your item when you check in, and it sends you a text with your claim confirmation. And that way, it gets rid of the lines and gets rid of the claims.
Fantastic. But now you've got some new innovations and developments. What are those?
Yeah, so the next stage is we're really trying to get rid of that physical line. So the next features we're rolling out are really, you just ordered your Uber. You need to leave and get in that Uber, or that extra charge is going to come on if you wait too long. So what we've done is you can now request back, I need my coat, I need my bag, and it's ready right there at the front door. Skip the line.
Fantastic. And I understand you're going to do some relocation from New York back to Indianapolis. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. We recently acquired a software consultancy team here called Fretless. And they are going to open up our new product development office here in New York. It includes Davey Strauss, the co-founder, as well as Dave Jones, Dana Palazzo, and we even recruited the head of mobile from Sallie Mae. Mohammed Hamdouchi is going to be based here, and they're going to build it out.
Fantastic. Describe some of these new markets for these new innovations. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so what was really interesting is, on Shark Tank we mentioned this could be used for more than coat checking. Think bag check, valet, but we, realized that you can inverse the process. So think beach rentals, ski rentals, and we had all this feedback coming in from customers. And two great examples of an application that they're using our app for is when you go to a big event like US Open golf or tennis, your phone dies over the course of the day. Companies like Amex are now using our system to lend out phone charging cases, so you can be with your phone as it charges. And these silent discos, they started with like these 200-person parties in the subways in New York, are now doing 6,000-person parties on the beaches in LA, on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they can get away with this because of there's no noise. So there's entrepreneurs using this application to really expand the shared economy, which is really cool.
Fantastic. So what are some current capital funding sources for you?
Yeah, we raised $2 million. It started here in Indy. That's where we really started the funding, and we're always looking for strategic investors that can help us, growth opportunities in our different verticals, but also can help us scale internally as well.
And then, what do you see as the growth potential now, moving forward here?
Yeah, so the shared economy, you see the Ubers, the Airbnbs, and even all these scooters, all over the city now. The millennials are, not hoarding products as much. They're seeing how they can share products to have better experiences, and we see our application as a tool to enable these entrepreneurs, and businesses to provide these types of offerings. So we see this marketplace just really blowing up and growing.
Fantastic. What are the immediate steps ahead for this next year?
Yeah, I think we're really focusing now on hotels. One, they have coat check, they have bag check, they have valet services, but that's a place, when you go to a hotel, you're away from your home and all the products you own. So imagine going to the airport, dropping off your coat in Indy, getting to the Bahamas, and right when you get there, you get to the hotel, you can rent some snorkel gear, a sea scooter, and use that while you're there. Have these new experiences with all these new products you usually may not have ever got to try. So we just see hotels as a big landscape to really
Fantastic. Well, as I do on each and every show with the Innovators, I try to give some prescriptions. So Dr. K's prescriptions for you, I came up with the 3 nevers for growing innovative firms. And so the first is never assume the adoption of these new areas by your current customer base. You can't assume that. They may, but you've got these new markets to look at. Second is never believe you're ahead of the competition, because I think you are, and I think you will be, but as you know, the minute you're good, they start to follow right on. And the third one is never think you have all the answers. And I always say, get that customer feedback like you're doing and like you have done, which I want you to continue, because I think that customer feedback is now moving you in these new directions. So you're doing fantastic, and we want you to continue to be a huge success.
Thanks,
And
guys.
so Derek, where can the audience find you?
Yeah, we're Chexology on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But if you want to just email us directly, info@chexology.com, you'll get to me and we'll have a conversation.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you all the best.
Yeah, thanks for your time, guys.
So there you go, Gary. We've got a very proud graduate of the Indiana University Entrepreneurship Program who's now expanding, and he's developing things right here in Indiana. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Dr. K, thank you. Well, researchers at the Regenstrief Institute in Indianapolis are taking the lead on numerous important healthcare issues, from collecting and analyzing data on opioids to the study of how certain drugs could possibly cause Alzheimer's and dementia to conducting trials on ways to eliminate back pain. And that's not all, really just the beginning. And I'm pleased to be joined by Regenstrief President and CEO Peter Emby to learn more. And Peter, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gary. Great to be here.
You know, I think a lot of people, maybe they've heard the Regenstrief name, many have not, and have no idea of the world-class institution that this is right here in Indianapolis and celebrating 50 years.
Yeah, it's really a well-kept secret, and so we're very excited to be here to talk more about the Regenstrief Institute. As you say, 50 years. So if I could just say a little bit, in 1969 is when we were started and launched by Sam Regenstrief, who was a regional entrepreneur and really saw the vision for how to improve efficiency and effectiveness of healthcare. And since then, over the last 50 years, the Regenstrief Institute has done some of the most pioneering work in the field of health and healthcare to bring information, technology, data, and care models to improve practice. And that's really what we continue to do today.
We talk about data and analytics in healthcare. And really, again, to kind of underscore what you're saying, much of it, happening here at the Regenstrief Institute, and really you can trace back to work here in Indy.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, across the world, the Regenstrief Institute is recognized as the pioneer in that regard. Many people don't know the earliest electronic health records, health information technology solutions, a lot of the standards that underlie the current environment were really invented right here in Indianapolis at the Regenstrief Institute, and then led to the development of a lot of what we think of as modern day health IT.
Yeah, there's also, I remember we've reported on it in the past, the Indiana Health Information Exchange, which is another unique aspect as well.
That's right. In fact, the Indiana Health Information Exchange is still considered the largest and most robust health information exchange in the country. Wow. And it emerged from work that actually happened at the Regenstrief Institute. And now our close partners who run the Indiana Health Information Exchange are an independent nonprofit, but it really came out of work that started at Regenstrief.
And you talk about some of the specific work. I mentioned the opioid crisis and IU's grand challenges. I know the Regenstrief Institute very much involved in that as well.
Absolutely. As a support organization to the university and the School of Medicine, we work closely with our collaborators to address that. So taking the data that we have available and then working with our data partners across the state, whether it's state agencies or other institutes and the like, to pull data together in order to be able to better characterize and understand the crisis and be able to address it. Obviously, a terrible crisis for our state and one that we need to address. So we've stepped up to create what we call the Indiana Addictions Data Commons to be able to have a data resource that then many can leverage for that.
Collaborations and partnerships are very important with universities, but also private sector companies, and talk about those, the importance and some of the variety of those partnerships.
Yeah, really critical, and as you say, quite varied. So, for instance, another grand challenge we're very much involved in with the Indiana CTSI and the IU School of Medicine is the Precision Health Grand Challenge that spans IU. And in that case, we partner very closely, for instance, with Lifomic, one of our leading companies here in Indianapolis. We also have collaborations, longstanding collaborations for several years now with a lot of our colleagues in industry and pharmaceutical companies, be they outside the state like Merck and Pfizer, or internally with our colleagues across the state, with Eli Lilly, of course, right here, and Roche. We work closely with the Indiana Biosciences Research Institute and others on issues like diabetes and tobacco cessation, as well as the opioid crisis.
Yeah, and you also, I know, have an interest in connecting with entrepreneurs and innovators, and really trying to get some of these great ideas and things out to the market, right?
Yeah, it's really critical to our mission. You know, we recognize that doing good research is very important, and being able to get the knowledge out there is important. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't have an impact on people and it doesn't actually make its way to help people's lives, then it's not sufficient. Our mission is to change people's health for the better. And so a lot of that does in fact require commercialization. So whether it's our internal innovations, some of which we launch as startups or we might license or what have you, or whether it's partnering with external companies, we do a lot of that, and increasingly we're doing more because it really is about getting our discoveries out into practice and making sure people benefit from them.